Welcome back guys. There is one question many people often ask me, is Windows holding back ROG Ally's gaming performance? Will the device's performance improve after installing Linux-based Bazzite operating system? In this video I'll be answering this question. I'll be testing some games with the same settings on my ROG Ally running on Windows 11 and Bazzite. I'm using a dual boot setup on my ROG Ally. Already shown the setup process for Bazzite in another video. We'll drop its link in the description. First I'll be running Cyberpunk 2077 on Bazzite. This is the system section for it. I have installed SteamOS version 3.6.20 update, kernel version. I'll show you the GPU driver version, RADV 24.2.4. We'll be using auto UMA buffer size setting for all of the games that I'll be testing on Bazzite. Even after installing the latest update notification still persists, not sure why. I'll show you handheld daemon settings and just press the armory crate button twice like this. Okay, TTP mode set to 25 watts manual. Even with the 25 watts APU power profile, the actual power draw is around 28 watts. So on ROG Ally running on Windows 11, I'll use a 28 watts manual profile. Just scroll down, TDP boost disable using a very aggressive fan curve. We'll use the same fan curve on Windows. CPU power set to low, CPU boost disabled, GPU frequency auto. Connected my Cosmic Byte Stellaris gamepad to ROG Ally via Bluetooth mode. Using G Proton version 9-16 as the compatibility layer. I'll use the same compatibility layer for all of the games. Performance QM settings. OLE level set to 3. Frame limit 120, VRR enabled. That's it. In-game settings, I am using the medium preset, XeSS version 1.3 upscaler, using the upscaler's quality preset. Just scroll down, disable motion blur, set to low, off. Rest of the settings are left as this, medium to high, apply. Video settings 900p resolution, display mode set to full screen, VSync off. Try to simulate the exact same sequence on both of these platforms. I'm in Watson, standing right outside V's apartment building. Okay, here we are almost hitting the GB bottleneck. FPS is within a range of 45 to 50. This is the game running without any frame generation technique. This game actually supports FSR frame generation. Terrible implementation. Okay, I'll just attack the cause. (42 FPS). No hitching at all. Very stable performance. Steal the vehicle. You can see the power drop. 17 plus 11. Roughly 28 watts of power is being drawn by the APU. CPU and GPU power draws. Oh my god. Killed him by mistake. Already lost the cause. Okay, so I'll test the same sequence on Windows 11 now. What's going on here? For Windows, I'm using a manual 28 watts power profile. All three power values set at 28 watts. Fan curve. Okay, I'll set the UMA buffer size to 6 GB. I've installed AMD's latest preview GPU driver version 24.20.19.05. This driver is optimized for Dragon Age, the Veilguard. Adrenaline settings for Cyberpunk, FreeSync and VSync enabled. Display resolution set at Full HD, CPU boost disabled. Printed Mac Bully Kit KK3 Max gamepad to Ally via Bluetooth mode. Using a custom afterburner overlay to show you the performance metrics. Again, using the medium preset. XeSS upscaler. Its quality preset. Disable motion blur. Apply. Scroll down. 900p resolution, display mode full screen. VSync off. Load the same sequence. We are in. FPS here is around 49. Roughly the same GPU usage on Windows. 95-96%. APU power draw around 28 watts. Moving the camera in complete circles, FPS is staying around 45. Game is not stuttering. I'll just engage in combat now.
Something's wrong here.
Poor cops. FPS dropped down to 42. Roughly the same performance on Bazzite and Windows 11 in Cyberpunk 2077. It's just scary. Steal the vehicle.
All units in the area. Criminal activity reported in Watson.
Switch camera.
Probably some cyber psycho again, but I'll handle it. Say, any update on my overtime?
Temperature is around 75 degrees Celsius. Okay, now I'll be testing the next game. Back to Bazzite. Now I'll be running Baldur's Gate 3. We'll be testing its third act, very demanding on the processor. Again using G Proton version 9-16 as the compatibility layer. Performance QAM settings. OLE level set to 3. VRR enabled, frame limit 120Hz, that's it. This is the DirectX 11 version of the game. Video settings. Display mode full screen, 900p resolution. VSync disabled. FSR 2.2 upscaler enabled using its quality preset. Most of the settings are set to low. Shadow quality and texture quality settings set to medium. Ambient occlusion enabled. Depth of field disabled. Chord rays, bloom, subsurface scattering, slow HDD mode, dynamic crowds off. We are in lower city. There's Scarlet and my companions. Almost hitting the GPU bottleneck here. What happened to that NPC? Okay, FPS is within a range of 38 to 43. Not hitting the GPU bottleneck here. Now we are hitting it. Entering the Blushing Mermaid Tavern. Lot of non-playable characters here. This sequence is demanding on both CPU and GPU. I actually increased the GPU settings, that's why. Here GPU load is around 85%, so the game's performance is limited by the single core CPU performance. 36 FPS there, but no audio stuttering. I'll just trigger an explosion now by going to that house. Keep an eye on the FPS counter. 31 FPS. FPS is going to collapse. There you go. Drop down to around 18. Increase to around 30. Performance has stabilized. For a few seconds FPS dropped below 30. It was that explosion. Go to another area. Crowded one. Game is installed on an SSD, so texture pop-in issue should not be present. Hitch there for about half a second, nothing extreme. Overall performance is good. See the crowd. 35 FPS here, 32. See the magic effects. These people are casting some spells. Game is definitely playable. Temperature around 78 degrees Celsius. Now test the same sequence on Windows. On Windows, I have set the UMA buffer size to 6 GB, still using the 28 watts manual profile. Games internal and setting. FreeSync and VSync enabled, that's it. We'll be running the DirectX 11 version of the game. In-game settings, display mode full screen, 900p resolution, VSync disabled, FSR 2.2 upscaler enabled using its quality preset, shadow quality and texture quality set to medium, rest of the settings set to low. Ambient occlusion enabled, that's it. Effects disabled. We are in, there's Scarlet. FPS here is a bit variable, 38 to 45. Go to Blushing Mermaid Tavern. Not hitting the GPU bottleneck, 83% GPU load. Game's performance is limited by the single core CPU performance. AP power draw around 28 watts. 32 to 36 FPS here in the tavern. The performance difference is well within the margin of error. Even in this game, the performance is identical on Bazzite and Windows. Let's trigger an explosion now. FPS will tank. 31 FPS. The explosion. 22 FPS. Performance should stabilize. 31 FPS. Magical effects. 30 to 33 FPS. Go to the crowded place. Very variable FPS here, 30 to 35. I'm just waiting for the magical effects. So not a big difference in performance even in this game. 30 to 33 FPS. Now I'll be testing the next game. Now I'll be running Red Dead Redemption 1 on Bazzite. G-Proton version 9-16 has the compatibility layer. It's the Steam version of the game. Still requires us to sign into a Rockstar Social Club account. It's a cloud save sync conflict. I'll just select the latest save file. Performance QM settings. Frame limit 120. OLL set to 3. VRR enabled. In-game graphics setting, display mode full screen, full HD resolution, refresh rate 120Hz, frame rate cap 144, VSync and triple buffering disabled. I am using the high preset, FSR3 upscaler, using its quality preset. That's it. Motion blur off. Just test the game in the opening area near Armadillo Station. There's John Marston. Okay, here we are getting around 55 FPS. Look at that GPU load, 71%. So the game's performance seems to be limited by the single core CPU performance. ROG Ally should have been running this game at around 100 FPS with these settings. Close to it. This game is not nicely optimized on PC platform. It's very disappointing. Look at that drunkard. 48 to 60 FPS here. Now we're getting 60 FPS. GPU load is still under 80%. Look at that power draw, close to 29 watts. Temperature around 77 degrees Celsius. Beautiful scenery. Red Dead Redemption for you. Just waiting for the train to pass. This is enough. Now I'll test the same sequence on Windows. 80 FPS now. On Windows, I've set the UMA buffer size to 4 GB for Red Dead Redemption. FreeSync and VSync enabled. Enter in settings. In-game settings, same. Just scroll down. Full HD resolution, full screen mode. High preset. FSR3 upscaler enabled using its quality preset. Motion blur disabled. That's it. We are in. Here FPS is around 60. GPU load 70%. Again we are getting identical performance on both Bazzite and Windows. On Bazzite here FPS dropped down to around 49. On Windows FPS is slightly higher, 55 to 60. There's the trunk card. Gameplay is smooth. 80% GPU load means performance is limited by the single core CPU performance. Skip the cutscene. 80 FPS. Just follow Jake.
Alrighty, Mr. Marshall, let's get. Really? Take it slow on the way out of town. No need to kick off a lot of dust.
I'm just waiting for the train to pass. Even on Bazzite, here we were getting around 80 FPS. So not a big difference in performance in this game on these two platforms.
That's right.
I'll be testing the next game. 80 FPS. Now I'll test the demo of Meta for ReFantazio on Windows. UMA buffer size set to 4 GB. Show you its eternal in settings. FreeSync and VSync enabled, that's it. Graphics setting. Rendering scale set to 100%. Ambient occlusion enabled. Texture quality set to high. Frame rate uncapped. Display settings 900p resolution. Display mode full screen. VSync off, that's it. I'll test the game in the city area. It's very demanding on both CPU and GPU. There's a character. Here we are getting around 31 FPS, hitting the GPU bottleneck. Very demanding. Lot of non-playable characters here. "45 FPS? Just go to the next area. 50 FPS now. Here FPS dropped down to around 30. Still hitting the GPU bottleneck. Dropping some graphical settings should improve the performance. 32, 35 FPS in this area. Big crowd here. Now I'll test the same sequence on Bazzite using G Proton version 9-16 as the compatibility layer for Metaphor. Performance QAM settings. Frame limit set to 120, OLED level set to 3, VRR enabled, that's it. In-game settings. Graphic quality set to high, rendering scale set to 100%, ambient occlusion enabled, texture quality set to high. Display settings 900p resolution, mode full screen, VSync off. It's the same sequence. There's a character. FPS here is around 29. Again the performance difference between Bazzite and Windows is well within the margin of error. On Windows FPS here was around 30. Same thing on Bazzite, hitting the GPU bottleneck. Let's go to the next area. Audio is not stuttering. This game does not support any form of anti-aliasing. What a weird decision. Very variable FPS. Yeah, 50 FPS. Observe the same thing on Windows. This will be interesting. 28 to 29 FPS. Even on Windows, FPS here dropped down to around 29. Again roughly the same performance, 27 FPS. Performance difference is well within the margin of error. It's a tie between Windows and Bazzite in this game. Now I'll be testing the next one. Now I'll be running Witcher 3 on Bazzite, again using G Proton version 9-16 as the compatibility layer. We'll be testing the game in the city of Novigrad. Performance QM settings, OLED level set to 3, frame limit set to 120, VRR enabled, that's it. In-game settings, I'm using the low preset, FSR2 upscaler enable using its quality preset, motion blur off, everything set to low. Display settings, display mode full screen, 900p resolution, VSync off. There's Garrett standing at the entrance of Novigrad. FPS here is close to 50. Hitting the GPU bottleneck. Just enter the city. It's very demanding on the CPU. Stunning visuals. Oh my god. Witcher 3 Remastered Edition. Ran over those people. Still hitting the GPU bottleneck. .44 to 47 FPS, not bad. Head to the market. Take the right turn. Made it. 44 to 47 FPS. Now I'll test the same sequence on Windows. Set the UMA buffer size to 5 GB, FreeSync and VSync enabled. In-game graphics setting, low preset. FSR2 upscaler enabled using its quality preset. Motion blur off. Everything set low. Display settings. Display mode full screen, 900p resolution, VSync off. Here's Carol, standing at the entrance of Novigrad, 50 FPS. Into the city. Hitting the GP bottleneck. On Bazzite, here we were getting an FPS within a range of 45 to 50. Roughly the same performance on Windows. Again, the performance difference is well within the margin of error. Love the music in this game. Take the right turn. Made it to the market. Now I'll be running the demo of Final Fantasy 16 on Windows. Enter in settings for the game, FreeSync and VSync enabled. UMA buffer size set to auto. In-game settings. This game is very demanding on the GPU. FSR3 upscaler enabled using its quality preset. Not using FSR frame generation. Motion blur disabled. Everything set to low. Effects disabled. Display resolution 720p. Display mode full screen. VSync off. There is a character, big castle in the background. FPS here is around 35. Hitting the GPU bottleneck. Many non-playable characters are present in this area. 32 FPS. Audio is not stuttering. You can always enable FSR frame generation to improve the performance. It will try to double the FPS. Cutscenes in this game are still capped at 30. (32 to 45 FPS so far).
I think someone's hungry.
Food is getting prepared here. Next section.
Nice and quiet in here, isn't it?
33 FPS.
There's Joshua.
What's going on here? Magical effect. (33 to 43 FPS). Now I'll test the game on Bazzite. For this game I am using G Proton version 9-16 as the compatibility layer. Performance QM settings, overlay level set to 3. VRR enable, frame limit set to 120. In-game settings, FSR3 upscaler enable, using the upscaler's quality preset. Frame generation disable, all effects disable, everything set to low. Screen mode set to full screen, 720p resolution. VSync off. Load the same sequence. Yeah, even here we are getting around 30 fps. Hitting the GPU bottleneck, 26 fps. Slightly better performance on Windows in this game. Yeah, 28 fps again. On Windows, FPS never dropped below 30 in this sequence.
Alright, let's get this stuff on paper. The Dutch is coming to our hands.
Looks
40
like they're
FPS
getting ready
है.
for supper.
Very variable FPS.
Someone's hungry.
26 FPS, what's going on?
Nice and
25 FPS again. Yeah, this game ran better on
quiet.
Windows.
Where's Joshua?
29 FPS, something is not right. Now I'll test the next game. Dragon A is the Veilguard. Even for this game I'm using G Proton version 9-16 as the compatibility layer. Performance QM settings. OLE level set to 3. Frame limit 120. VRR enabled. In-game settings. Texture quality set to medium. Texture filtering set to high. Contact shadow enabled. Rest of the settings set to low. Ambient occlusion HPAO. Ray tracing disabled, of course. Vignette motion blur disabled. That's it. Display settings. Mode set to full screen, 720p resolution. VSync off. Triple buffering disabled as well. FSR upscaler enable using its quality preset. Render scale set to 100%. Look at the Elven Ruins area, thick foliage here. Hey, we are not even getting 30 FPS. Something is not right. I've already tested this game on ROG Ally running on Windows 11. FPS in this area usually stays around 40. Hitting the GPU bottleneck. I haven't installed any mod. (27 to 38 FPS in this area. I'll show you some combat as well. CPU usage is around 70%. Some demons will spawn. There they are. Companion abilities close. (29 to 30 FPS during combat. And test the same sequence on Windows. For Dragon Age, I have set the UMA buffer size to 6 GB on Windows. Adrenaline settings, FreeSync and VSync enabled. Display settings, mode set to full screen, 720p resolution. No FPS cap applied. FSR upscaler using its quality preset. Render scale 100%. Texture quality set to medium, texture filtering set to high, rest of the settings set to low. Ray tracing off. Motion blur and vignette effects disabled. That's it. We are in Elven Ruins. Here FPS is around 45 on Windows. What's going on? On Bazzite we were getting around 30 FPS in the same area. Where is this big performance difference coming from? I hope I didn't use any wrong settings.
We've handled our share of demons. A few dozen more shouldn't be a problem. Spirit,
not demons. They're animated, those suits of armor.
FPS never dropped below 40.
Protected from threats.
Threats like us, I'm guessing.
It's a clear win for Windows. Show you some combat as well.
Demons! Right where we need to go.
Take out the demons. Okay, even during combat FPS is around 50. It's 45 to 50 FPS on Windows. Now I'll be testing the next game. For Dragon Age Veilguard on ROG Ally, Windows operating system is recommended. Now I'll be running Dragon's Dogma Part 2 on Windows. UMA buffer size set to 6 GB. Show you its settings. FreeSync and VSync enabled, that's it. In-game graphics setting, display mode borderless Windows 720p resolution. VSync off, FSR3 upscaler enabled using its balance preset. This is not frame gen. Ray tracing off. Texture quality set to low, 0 GB. Texture filtering medium. All settings set to low. Shadow cast setting enabled. That's it. There's a character. I'll be testing the game in the city of Veilguard. Very demanding on the CPU. Here FPS is within a range of 30 to 35. VRAM usage is around 5.1 GB. This game has received many updates since its release, helped in improving the performance. I'm in the marketplace, 30 FPS. Not hitting the GPU bottleneck here. I'll just leave one word. Open areas are very demanding on the GPU. Characters are appearing in front of me out of thin air. Hitch. Here FPS will drop into the mid 20s. 25 FPS. Yeah, now we are hitting the GPU bottleneck. So it's 25 to 30 FPS on ROG Ally. Now I'll test the game on Bazzite. Using G Proton version 9-16 as the compatibility layer for Dragon's Dogma 2 on Bazzite. Performance QM settings. Only level set to 3. VRR enable. Frame limit 120. In-game settings, borderless window mode 720p resolution. VSync off. FSR3 upscaler set to balance. Effects disabled. Texture quality set to low. Texture filtering set to medium. Shadow cast setting enabled. Rest of the settings disabled. We are in. Here FPS is around 30. GPU load around 77%.
Regarding the Queen Regent and an important personage, you mean?
Roughly the same performance on Bazzite and Windows in this game. Power draw is around 27 to 28 watts. Yeah, this game pushes the processor to its limits.
Look, Master, a treasure chest. But you have to find a way to reach it.
23 FPS there for about half a second. Leaving this place. 22 FPS.
Sight of yon ox cart has brought all my fatigue to the fore. Shall we run aboard?
In the open area, FPS is around 25 to 28. On Windows here, FPS dropped down to around 24. That did not happen on Bazzite. Like 2 to 3 FPS higher on Bazzite. In most of the games, the thermal performance was identical. You can see GPU temperature 78 degrees Celsius.
We can pick some now.
The performance difference between the games was well within the margin of error for both of these operating systems. In Final Fantasy 16 and Dragon Age the Veilguard, performance was better on Windows, especially in Veilguard. Big performance difference. In the Elven Ruins area, FPS was around 30 on Bazzite. On Windows, FPS in the same area was around 45. Some games can run better on Windows than Bazzite and vice versa. Do not expect a big difference in terms of general performance after switching from Windows to Bazzite. That's it with the video guys. I hope you find it useful. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.